Welcome to the Art Through Perception podcast. I am your host, Katie, and if you don't know who I am just here to help. This episode is going to be about relationship trauma and trauma in general. I wanted to especially thank my Discord server for helping me out, for sharing their different perspectives and stories on how certain relationships and situations have changed how they are today. So, what is trauma? A lot of us have trauma and don't even realize it. It can be caused by verbal, physical, emotional abuse, and can later on cause us to react certain ways in certain situations without even realizing it. This doesn't even have to come from an intimate partner. This can stem from having, like, from friends and especially family. When we're young, we get a lot of stuff ingrained in our heads that isn't very good. It causes a lot of psychological and physical effects we don't even realize until brought to our attention. A bunch of examples of this is trust issues, guilt, anxiety, having low self-esteem, and constantly judging yourself, and avoidance, and very many much more. That made no sense, but you know what I'm saying. And trauma can usually stem from something very small, but because of the way we react to it and continue to have this brought up into our lives, it becomes much more serious and affects us to our day-to-day lives and situations and new relationships, which is why it's so bad. Look, life sucks majority of the time. We all have situations, we all have jobs, we all have family things going on, and you need to realize that once the day is over, it's over. Our bodies tend to relive those days a lot in our mind, and it's just not healthy, and you're constantly reliving bad days when ultimately you should be focusing in on the present. And the crazy part about this is when it comes to traumatic experiences, our brain, we have a piece of our brain that is stemmed from fight or flight. And fight or flight is an animal instinct that we have from, death, not death, from our survival experiences. So our traumas connect with that. So let's say we're arguing with somebody and they choose to ignore us. Our brain goes to that survival instinct and we freak out in our brain. We're in a death situation. That's why it's so hard on our bodies and so hard on our minds, because that's how we're reacting to it. That's the part of our brain that is being triggered the most. And what is really bad about this is when we are in our flight or fight moments, we tend to not learn from the experience. We can't see from people's point of views. We're just so fixated on what's going on in our mind. But realizing that is the first step to getting better. I personally have been cheated on a couple of times, and I really let this affect my past relationships in the past. Not anymore, but I did let it affect me. It really made it hard to accept love. It made it hard to love myself. It made it very hard to communicate and trust. I always felt like I was being lied to, because I had been lied to so much. So I would take this, even when after certain situations, I would take it into friendships and be like, yeah, these people don't really like me. They're just lying to me, because it was so hard to accept love, and that was a trauma response because of what I had been put through. I wasn't able to accept love anymore. But when I finally found how to heal myself, and I found out how to love myself, and I now realize that I do deserve love, and I do deserve everything. I deserve the world. But in that moment of my fight or flight, I couldn't have anything that told me different, that I did deserve love, and which is it's such a hard thing. Trauma responses are damn near impossible to get out of, but once we learn that it is a trauma response, we can learn how to deal with it. The big step to start this is move on from the person. Acknowledge every emotion, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the sadness, because we're human, and appreciate the things that you've been put through, because it only shows that you're human. Love and sad and anger is just a part of living, and appreciate that. And always remember the good and the bad of a relationship. It's very bad to hold resentment, so try your hardest to let go of what that person has done, and remember that there were good times. Make a commitment to yourself to forgive and forget that person. My last podcast episode was about forgiving and forgetting, so I do recommend you to go watch that. Prioritize yourself and your well-being. I feel like not enough people do this because we're so fixated on other people's emotions and so fixated on making other people happy, but that is the last person you should be worried about. Please put yourself first, and please put your emotions first, and just let go in general. Release any regrets that you have, and learn that it is okay to forgive yourself. We make mistakes, but what good is it doing by just bringing it up constantly in your head? You did this and you did that. It's like sitting in a rocking chair. You aren't going anywhere, I promise you. You're doing yourself no good. Let go. Forgive yourself. You make mistakes. It is okay. You know how you forgave that person for hurting you? And you let them back? You can do it to yourself, okay? We're so hard on ourselves, and for what? You need to realize that you are all you have. So we need to take care of ourselves and treat ourselves with the most compassion as possible. Another thing that helps is don't think about the time that you've lost with this person. We often get caught up in like, oh, I wasted my life, I wasted my time. No, you didn't. Not at all. You know how much shit you've learned from this person. You know things, if you did mess up, you know to never do them again. So appreciate it. Appreciate the good memories too. You know, maybe there were bad, but maybe there were good. And appreciate those late nights that you had with that person, and just thank them for being that experience for you. Thank them for that good time that you did have, but let go at the same time. Forgive them and forgive yourself. And to reconnect with who you are outside of a relationship. We tend to lose ourselves completely when we get into relationships. We don't know who we are. We tend to base ourselves off of social norms and off of like our social friendships. A lot of us lose ourselves and we don't know who we are anymore, and it's all about getting that back and getting our self-love and self-compassion back. I feel like a big way to overcoming trauma is definitely sitting down with yourself and like kind of dissecting your own brain and dissecting everything that you've been through, and a lot of this can stem from childhood trauma, and of course, you know, past relationships that we've had, it can stem from that too. But I think ultimately what it comes down to is making yourself a comfortable place to be, a place to feel safe in your body, because when we have those flight or flight moments, we're looking for a safe place. So make yourself that safe place. Don't make a person your safe place. Don't make a substance your safe place. Don't make an object your safe place. You. And you know why you need it to be you? Because you're always going to be there. You're not leaving your side. Maybe other people will. I mean, everybody's temporary. Lives are temporary. And like anything, you name it, it's temporary. But you're not. And being compassionate with yourself. So when you do tend to lash out and you see yourself reacting to certain traumas, understand that your actions are understandable. And you may not be in the right place to heal them. You may not be in the right place to even face them right now. And that's okay. So just know to be compassionate with yourself. Be forgiving. Treat yourself like a little newborn baby that you're trying to take care of. That is the best way I can put it. And I also made a TikTok about this. I was reading an article about this thing called EMDR. It is called Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing. What this is an action that is meant for healing trauma. It actually has very good, a good rep. That isn't the best way to say that, but you know what I'm saying. So eternally, what you do is you bring up a past trauma moment, or you bring up something that is really triggering to you, and you relive it in a sense, and you get your finger and you follow your finger with your eyes. You wave your finger back and forth and you follow it. And what this does is it knocks you back into the present moment. It essentially alters your brain chemistry and alters your present reality to the right one. So anytime you find yourself freaking out, I want you to try that method. It has good results and good readings, and there's been studies that this has helped. I just wanted to give you a little trick and something to do when you're freaking out or you see yourself losing, a little bit of control. Trauma is definitely not an easy thing to overcome, and it takes a lot of time to get better, but with the right mindset and the right people, I believe you can do it. And take your time. There's no rush. There's no rush to healing. You do that at your own time. I do recommend you joining my Discord server. There's people you can talk to. There's plenty of people that just want to listen and help you. It is a community of like-minded people that just want the best for ourselves and for others. And to find that, you can go to my Instagram, you can go to my TikTok, it's in any of my link trees. I want to thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and again, thank you to my Discord. I'm your host, Katie, and I love you, and I hope you choose to heal.